Alright, hello Melissa. As you know, this interview will pertain to your experience with educational research as an administrator. You have signed the consent form to know this will probably take about 10 to 15 minutes. Today is Tuesday, November 21st, 2017, and this interview is being recorded at Spanishburg Elementary School. Do you have any questions before we start?
No.
Alright, first thing, would you please state your name and title for the record?
Melissa Boothe, and I'm the principal at Spanishburg Elementary School.
What degrees and certifications have you obtained in undergraduate school?
I obtained my bachelor's in elementary education and a preschool certification.
How many years did you have of experience as a teacher?
I taught in the elementary setting before I became a principal, 15 years.
What degrees and certifications did you obtain during graduate school?
In graduate school, I obtained my master's in reading. And then, of course, since I had my master's to become a principal, it was a certification that I had to add on.
Do you have any additional certificates?
Well, that would be my administration.
How many years of experience do you have as administrator?
This is my 6th year. At the end of this year, it'll be 6 years.
What grade levels does your current school encompass?
We are pre-K through 5th grade.
What is the current enrollment?
We have around 200 students.
How many teachers work at this school?
We have about 30 on staff here, but some of our teachers are itinerant. They do not stay here the whole time. They come and go. We have 11 classroom teachers and a special ed teacher that stays here all the time. And then my other staff, they come and go, like for music, PE, technology, and my TISs, stuff like that. They're itinerant. My speech.
As an administrator, do you utilize educational research conducted by others in your profession?
Yes, I do.
And would you like to talk further more about that?
Well, you always want to be up to date on your practices and what influences education and the best practices out there to see what's proven to work. You always want to look at the best strategies that's working with today's kids. Unfortunately, with the drug crisis that we're having right now, the research is showing that the kids are affected in their brain, and that we have to do different techniques to reach them now. Especially with ADHD, that's a side effect of their environment and, things that happened to them when they were in the womb, as mothers, of how they took care of them in the womb. So, yes, I'm always constantly looking at the research as far as that goes, to see, how I can better help the children, because it's all about the kids.
Is there a particular topic that you like to research each academic year or that are coming out new?
Well, I always try to keep up with what's currently going on in society to see how that's affecting kids' education. Basically in elementary school, we teach them to read and we teach them basic math. And we always want to make sure we give them a solid foundation. And then I'll keep abreast of what kind of influences that's going on. Because if they don't come to school ready to learn, it's going to make that part difficult for us to teach them reading and math. So I always want to keep up with, are they being fed at home? What kind of influence is going on in my community? Do we have a lot of foster kids that's going back and forth? Because we have to meet the whole child's needs. If they come to school and they're worried about where they're going home that afternoon, academics is not on the top of their list for that day. If they're worried about, is mom and dad going to be awake? They don't know that their parents really do drugs. They just know that sometimes when I go home, mom and dad are like asleep a long time when I get home for a couple hours. They don't know that they're passed out.
Yeah.
So things like that on the elementary level, I need to keep abreast of what's going on. How many parents do I have that I feel like are addicted? How many kids do I feel like are not being fed at home? Do I need to send food home over the weekend? Are they going to have anything there? Do they have anything for Thanksgiving? Like, we got the holidays coming up, Thanksgiving. So I've identified, 10 families that I'm sending home food over these holidays because I feel like they need a Thanksgiving dinner. And then I'm sending bags, they're right there in my floor, 30 bags home with different kids' So I know that they have a little bit of something. I couldn't do the full dinner for them, but at least we give them something.
So going back a little bit, while completing your master's degree, did you conduct or participate in any research?
When I did my master's in reading, I know that we had to do like a case study on a couple of different children, but it's been, 23 years ago because I graduated 25 years ago, and I got my master's right after that bachelor's degree. So all of that happened 23 years ago, and I cannot remember exactly what I did, but I know we had to do something in research for that.
Do you think you can remember what the topic or the questions were about?
I cannot remember the questions at all, but I remember we had to look at about 3 different kids and their reading struggles and dig deeper into why that they were performing at that level. We had to do certain tests with them to make sure that we knew what level they were on reading, and then do some interventions and see where they came out afterwards, and then compare.
So do you think that method was more quantitative or qualitative, or a mixed method where you're looking at numbers?
I think it was probably a mixed.
And do you happen to remember the results or the findings that you had?
No, I do not.
Going back a little bit further then, as a teacher, outside of your master's degree, did you conduct or participate in any educational research?
Not formally, but as a teacher, you're constantly looking at what works and what doesn't, and you're constantly doing formative assessment with the kids, which could lead to bigger research and deeper research, because without all of that knowledge, for input into research, that's where you get your basics for those knowledgeable things when they do the huge research of what works and what doesn't with certain kids. I mean, as a teacher, your intake of that constantly as you're doing lessons, and what's going on with this kid, and what works with this kid. Does this kid work for rewards, or does this kid do better if I take something away? It's just academics and behavior, all of that. You're constantly doing little things to see what works and what doesn't.
Yeah. So in regards to research, what advice would you give a teacher completing their administrative internships such as myself?
Well, we need good educators, and we need good principals. So if your heart's in it, I say go for it. And as far as what you need to be looking into, I would, keep abreast of current things going on in society, what things are affecting the kids. I would look into best practices, what makes a school a great school. And, I would look into psychology stuff, because nowadays we have to that's a big part of our jobs as principal, is knowing how to de-escalate certain situations, knowing how to talk to people, knowing how to ask questions, knowing how to communicate with angry parents, angry teachers, angry students. Principals are in the middle of all of that, and administration, your higher ups above you. So, that would be always a good thing that you could get into as you go into the field of administration. It's like, how can I personally make this the best situation?
Is there anything else pertaining to educational leadership that you would like to discuss?
I can't think of anything. You have any questions?
Alright, then thank you for giving up your time to answer my questions, and it's been very informative.
Oh, thank you.